What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? Why Kratos becoming a god of hope is a task greater than being a god of war, and what we can learn from it. What did the ending of the new God of War DLC meant? Does it mean that finally Kratos is happy because he has no bitches but only his best bro? Hey, I'm Blaira, and I'm doing a video inside the house. It's called God of War Valhalla is a touchy subject about God of War. The DLC is a nostalgia trip about Kratos' past and all past actions of Kratos, good or bad, aka mostly bad. All past actions of Kratos are being shown and reminded to him and us. It's Kratos trying to reconcile with his past and make peace of what he is and what he has done, and hold closure to his redemption. In the end, we see Kratos forgiving his past and his destructive self's actions, giving up his old duty as a god of war and changing into someone new, blossoming into a god of hope. A new duty he fulfills, completing his redemption by accepting who he is and changing his present actions. It seemed interesting to me how Kratos' closure resided with everyone. All of us have past mistakes and we dedicate our lives into finding out who we are. Some of us end up redeeming ourselves and some of us never succeed in doing that. It seems to me that the path of redemption inspires more respect to us than the path of vengeance. Kratos' path from God of War 1 all the way to the God of War 3 had Kratos fighting with himself constantly. There isn't a moment where he doesn't despise the situation that he's in. Because being a god of war is losing yourself to a path of violence. In the first God of War, Kratos was about to take his own life after usurping Ares, but he was stopped by Athena as he became a god of war. But at what cost? He lost everything and everyone he cared about, his family and mostly himself. When Kratos became the god of war, he was assigned to a new version of himself. He sacrificed everything to become something he didn't want, and in the next games, he did things that his old self wouldn't even do anymore. Kratos fully accepts his new destructive self. He will find a new purpose, but he did it in the wrong way. In God of War 2 and 3, he destroyed everything to regain what he had before he became the God of War. He wanted a second chance, but he lost the way to his salvation. See, Kratos had the right idea, but he executed it in the wrong way. Kratos thought that violence was the best and only way to achieve something. Due to his upgrowing as a Spartan soldier, he learned in a young age that violence and killing people was the solution to everything. He wasn't given a choice. He didn't knew a peaceful way. That's why Kratos continued the path of death to redeem himself, but all was in vain. Kratos thought that in order to have peace, he would have to destroy the gods that wouldn't take the nightmares of his mistakes away. That's why everything happened the way it did in the next God of War games. Dude was so angry that he went back in time to kill his father, man. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? Just leave it be, go to a psychologist, dude. He was so angry that he destroyed Greece because he wouldn't forgive himself for the grave mistakes that he did in the only way that he knew, without even thinking of a peaceful way. He was a destroyer, and he killed everything in his way. He became a god of war with violence, and he ended his reign with violence, because that's how he grew. Kratos' path from mortal to becoming a god of war was filled with blood and fury. But this path of vengeance was an easy choice for him. It's the only thing that he knew. But we see through these actions that becoming a god of hope is truly harder than becoming a god of war. Choosing redemption over vengeance, choosing to forgive yourself, then destroying yourself, is a harder battle than we think, a path that's endless. You see, Kratos stole the position of God of War that he never wanted, but becoming a God of Hope is a role that he endlessly fought to achieve it, a role that he truly earned. Kratos fought in order to transition from a God of War to a God of Hope, just as he did when he was a mortal transitioning into a god. But his change wasn't forged in obligation to his vengeance. He finally understood that he had a choice all along, that of forgiveness. We often clearly see our mistakes when they are done by others. After Kratos created a new life from himself and seen his son's mistakes in their road, Kratos finally understood that a path to salvation was not war, but hope. Atreus killed Thor's son, and Kratos saw his past ways through him. It was after Kratos let Atreus grow and lending his hope of him becoming a better person that he understood his new role. This transformation started when Kratos killed Baldur in hopes of breaking the cycle of vengeance. Kratos unleashed violence in order to become someone better for his son. His two personalities crashed, and in a final act of his God of War violence, he started a new path for himself, a new choice that he learned through his son, a path of peace, being someone new, a God of hope, a greater struggle. Acting on anger is an easy road to take. It feels justified most of the time, and it's certainly better than feeling sorry for yourself, or feeling pain or hurt. The path to forgiveness is a difficult one, because in order to choose the path of forgiveness, you have to sacrifice your ego. Humility often involves acknowledging one's mistakes, accepting limitations, and being open to learning, being a new you, being open to being a new part of yourself. Anger can serve as a defense mechanism, providing a temporary sense of empowerment and shielding one's ego from perceived threats. It's hard for kids to not act on anger, because admitting mistakes or being humble may be perceived as a threat to one's ego. The ego tends to resist situations that challenge its sense of self-importance, making the path of humility more challenging. Expressing anger can provide a quick release of tension and frustration. It's a more immediate and, in the short term, satisfying response. Humility, on the other hand, requires patience, self-reflection, and a long-term perspective. The rewards of humility, such as personal growth and improved relationships, may not be immediately apparent. And Kratos chose the path of humility, and this path set him free. And Kratos chose the path to humility. If he was to choose a path of anger again, he would give in to his older self and fall into constant chaos of a cycle which Kratos acts upon the easy way and facing the hard consequences that came along with it, and doing it again. Kratos chose the path of redemption, and the cycle broke. The path of becoming a god of hope was a greater achievement than being a god of war. The biggest dedication is when Kratos speaks to his younger self in the end. We see young Kratos in a cold, wretched throne, surrounded by no one, with a full disdain on his face, and knowledge that the throne that he sits was bathed in blood and anger, and the name that he represents fills him with resentment. But when older, wiser Kratos sits on the throne, it changes to a warm color, with a friend of his side, finally smiling. Thing is that Kratos changed. When we stick to our old ways, the only thing is chaos and violence. We must break the cycle in order to become better. That's what I want to say. See ya.